Okay, hi everyone. In the previous video we were looking at expansion and actually simplifying for linear expressions with fractions as the coefficient. Okay, so we will have like many brackets and we need to expand slowly one by one, and at the end of the day we need to use the calculator to add up our like terms together. So that was what we did previously, right? As separate terms with individual fractions. All right. But for this one over here, we are going to express the expression as one single fraction. Right? So this is the continuation of what we did just now. Just now was just expansion. Now it is expressing two things as one single fraction. Okay, so I'm going to borrow the idea from our primary school. You don't have to write this down first yet. I'm going to borrow this from primary school, where, for example, let's say if I have 2/3 plus 1 over 4. So how am I going to add both of these together? So when I add both these fractions together, what I need to do is I need to make sure that the denominator are the same. So let's say for 3 and 4, how do I make them the same? We can multiply them by each other. So 3 and 4 would become 12, right? 3 and 4 will become 12. So what we do is over here multiply by 4, and the other fraction multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So on top we have 4 times 2 and 1 times 3. So together will be 11 over 12. So this is the idea that we're going to have. And we'll be using this for our to do the same thing for algebraic expression. Okay, so over here, right, the idea or the skill that we need from primary school, it is to look at this common denominator, right? Common denominator. All right. All right, so let's take a look at practice now 9 for our very first example. So over here, you will see that we have something like half times x minus 3 plus 2x minus 5 over 3. Right, we have this fraction over here. Now, for the first fraction here, right, we can rewrite this into a very nice simpler form, like a fraction like on the right. We can rewrite this like this. So x minus 3 over 2, right, so over 2 plus 2x minus 5, right, over 3. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to find the common denominator. So 2 and 3, what should I make them to be? So 2 and 3 I can become 6. So 2 times 3, right? Dot means times. 2 times 3 means I'll get my 6. So at the bottom times 3, at the top also need to times 3. Same for the second fraction, here times 2. So bottom times 2, top also times 2. So at the bottom, at the denominator, we're going to get a denominator of 6. Now at the top, I'm not going to expand first. I will want to write it as one fraction first. Combine first before expansion. I'll tell you why later. So over here, I'm going to get something like okay, so 3 times of x minus 3 plus 2 times of x 2x minus 5, right? So this is what I'm gonna get over here. So with this, right, let me expand and see how it goes. So expansion, so 3 times x, 3 times negative 3. So positive 2 times 2x and positive 2 times 5. I'm going to get something like this. And last but not least, I'm gonna like simplify them. So 3x plus 4x, I have 7x. Minus 9 minus 10 would be a minus 19. So we have 7x minus 19 all over 6 as my answer for the first part. Alright, so once again, the concept is up here where we want to make common denominator, right? Common denominator 6. We combine the first line above here without expanding first, and only then we expand and we find the final answer. Alright, let's take a look at B. Okay, the example for B. Okay, for part B, we have this x minus 2 over 4 minus of 2x minus 7 over 3. Okay, so now before we continue on, so 4 and 3, what would be the suitable denominator? So the suitable denominator is going to be actually 12. So 4 times 3 will give me 12, so multiply by 3 at the bottom, multiply by 3 on top to balance. The second fraction, multiply by 4 at the bottom, multiply by 4 on top to balance as well. So here, let me go over here, right? Let me combine them as one first, and let me write down the denominator, a common 12. So on top, I'm going to have a 3 times of x minus 2 and minus 4 times of 2x minus 7. So I want you to see this one over here. So minus 4 times of 2x minus 7. So let me expand now. Right, so denominator is still 12. So on top, 3 times x, 3 times negative 2, negative 4 times 2x, and negative 4 times negative 7. Alright, so you see this over here? So the last step over here that I get is 3 minus 8 would be negative 5x. Negative 6 plus 28 will give me a plus 22. Right, you can use your calculator to add one by one. So the final answer will be negative 5x plus 22. Now, what happens if we go and expand first without minusing? So this is what happens over here. Let's say if you don't do this and you do this thing straight away. So you're going to see something like 3x minus 6 over 12 minus of 4x minus 28 over 12. So the careless mistakes that a lot of students will make would be over here. 3x minus 6 over 3x minus 6, and when they combine would be minus 8x minus 28 over 12. So if you compare this one over here and this one over here, where is the difference? Here, this is your difference. Alright, so what does it mean? Why is it so? Because when you minus, you need to minus 8x minus negative 28, because you're minusing the whole fraction. So technically speaking, there is an invisible bracket over here. You're minusing this, minusing that. Alright, so this is why my advice to you is that to prevent this mistake, the sequence of what we're going to do first is, right, my advice to you is, for this step over here is to combine as one single fraction. Okay, so combine as one single fraction first, right, before expanding. Okay, only then you expand. Okay, so you don't get that careless mistake over there, right? So that is it for part B. Okay, alright, so let's take a look at question number 2 over here. So question number 2, right, is a bit what do you call this, is a bit challenging, where now instead of 2 fractions we will need to deal with 3 fractions. Okay, so over here let's take a look at question 2a over here. I have my first fraction, I have my second fraction, and I have my third fraction. I can write it like this. Without the brackets. Okay, so 2x minus 3 over 4, so that I can view this easily. Okay, so with this, right, what are we going to do is, how are we going to find the common denominator? It has to be the common number for 3, 2, and 4. So with this one over here, the common number for all these 3 numbers are is actually the lowest common multiple of these 3 numbers. So technically speaking, we need to look for the LCM of 2, 3, and 4. So what is the lowest common multiple? It's actually 12, so that we can make them common denominator. So how do we make 3 12? We need to multiply by 4, on top multiply by 4. How do we make 2 to become 12? We need to multiply by 6, on top multiply by 6. And the other one, how do we make it to be 12? We multiply by 3, and we multiply by 3 on top, balance. Alright, so balance up and down. So what do we have here? We have, okay, 4 times of x minus 1 plus 6 minus 3 times of 2x minus 3 whole thing over 12, common denominator. So with this over here, let's expand. So first expansion, 4 times x, 4 times -1, we get this. And then the 6 is standalone. We also have -3 times 2x, -3 times -3. So this would be like this, right? All over 12. Okay, all over 12. Okay, so with this, let us add the like terms together. All my x's, so 4x minus 6y, we have a minus 2x. So minus 4 plus 6 plus 9. So all the numbers. So we have plus 11, right? So whole thing divided by 12, right? So this will be the final answer for part A. So let's continue on with part B over there. So part B, we have 2x plus x minus 4 over 9 and a minus 2x minus 5 over 3. Okay, so over here, let's take a look at what should our lowest common denominator be. Alright, so what's the LCM of this one? So over here, right, the 2x alone, right, if you want to write it as a fraction, it's actually 2x over 1. Do you agree? Right, so between 1, 9 and 3, what would be the common denominator? Do we take 3 times 9 to become 27? Actually, we don't need. We can go directly to 9. So how do we make the first one 9? So times 9 at the bottom times 9 on top. Second fraction, do we need to do anything? The denominator is already 9. Third fraction, we times 3 at the bottom. We also need to times 3 on top so that the denominator is 9. So let us add this out together. So on top, 9 times 2x would be this, plus x minus 4, minus 3 groups of bracket 2x minus 5. Whole thing over common denominator of 9. So let us do this. We have 18 plus x minus 4. Right, so -3 times 2x, -3 times 5. Don't forget the negative. Alright, so with this one over here, we have the whole thing divided by 9. Sure, like this. Sure thing. Okay, so with this one over here, now whole thing over 9. So let's take a look at the top. How do we simplify the top? 18x plus 1x minus 16x, so 6x. So I will have oh my god, why is this like so wonky? So this is 13x above. And then we have minus 4 plus 15, so we need to add an 11 over 9. Okay, so this would be our final example for our simplifying algebraic terms, expressions with fractions. Okay, so the first part of the fraction again is just to expand and just add like terms with fractions. So we have the calculator to help us. For this part, this video again over here, we are combining them into one single fraction. So let's take a look at this one over here. Express each of the following in its as one fraction in the simplest form, right? So it is combining two fractions as one single fractions, and we need to consider the lowest common denominator, and then we do the multiplication up and down. Okay, so this is the end of the video for 4.4b.